Hey, hello. My name is Dr. Brett Brimhall, and I want to spend a couple minutes with you here today talking about chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Before I get started, just kind of give a little bit of my background. I was born into a chiropractic family. My dad's practiced chiropractic from 1971 till present. I spent the last 25 years teaching and training physicians all across the globe on a protocol known as 6 Steps of Wellness, utilizing nutrition as a key component to helping people get well. And what I've learned over the last, several decades of my life in teaching and training and practicing is that there's not one size fits all. And many people have lost hope. And I want to share with you just some of the current studies and some of the research that's back there. And maybe some of the things that will help you and your family have some answers and perhaps look at some things a little bit differently so you can function better than you are right now. Because the bottom line, there are people that are struggling out there that have been given all sorts of different diagnoses, but underneath all the diagnoses are people that are wanting to live a better life. They want to be able to pick up their kids or play with their grandkids. They want to be able to get up in the morning and do things with their family. They want to be able to go to work. And there's some things that they maybe just have not found out about yet that could help them. So I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see a couple of these slides. One of the places I'm going to be referencing today is a place called pubmed.gov, and so these things I share with you, you can look up yourselves on that website. So what this is right here is just think about it. I want you please to share this information with those that you think this will matter to. Maybe people that are just been struggling for a really long time and giving up hope, or maybe this is you, right? And please share it along with them and invite them to take a look at this as well. What I did is I went back through and I looked at some of the research looking at chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. Is there's lots of different ways that it's being treated right now, and some of them are medications that are driven to affect gut. Some are literally done to affect depression and brain. And so the medications they're using for chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia it's usually not just one medication that does it. Like right here, I really kind of found this interesting. There's a high degree of overlapping comorbidities, and common drug efficacy suggests that depression is one of the family-related conditions, sometimes referred to affective spectrum. And they talked about how it related to migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, anxiety. So it's not a one system problem, it's a multiple system problem. And when you start digging into that, you'll see that at the root of the problem of these symptoms that people are having are dysfunctions in systems. One of the common one they're talking about is the mitochondria and immunity in chronic fatigue. Now, how does that relate? Well, the mitochondria are your energy producers of your cells. So if your body cannot make energy, something's going to break down. Think of it in your house, or your business. If you don't have cash flow, you can't pay the bills, and then you definitely can't go on vacation. So in your body, if your body can't make an energy, you're literally going to have issues with being able to just function on a day-to-day basis, which is what that fatigue comes from. But also with lack of good energy, your body can't repair, and that's where the pain stuff comes from. And looking at this here, they're talking a lot about how that can be triggered through immunity. Sometimes that people get an immune system dysfunction, and that leads to mitochondrial dysfunction, which leads to other forms of dysfunction. Oxidative stress is another big thing you'll see out there. And so oxidative stress, if you haven't heard of that, this is literally rusting. So when you set something, I'm in Arizona, and so when you set something out in the sun, literally it starts breaking down. That process is called oxidation. If you let metal sit out in the snow, like it's snowing across the country right now, it will rust, right? So that rusting process is called oxidizing, and inside your cells, this takes place all the time. And so there's mechanism in place that's supposed to control that, so keep the oxidation down to a minimum. And it uses these big enzymes like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalyze. These big enzymes are designed that your cells are supposed to produce that are supposed to reduce that oxidation. Now, if the body can't keep up, they call it oxidative stress because it's stressful now. And this is linked highly to not only creating more mitochondrial dysfunction, but it's linked to chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Because if your body cannot repair, right, then it's going to lead to dysfunction in system. Then if it can't make energy, the same story takes place. Okay, so here's some more things looking at really like that. And what they found is that with like the fibromyalgia syndrome, is characterized by diffuse muscle pain, poor sleep, unrelenting fatigue. They also experience headaches, anxiety, depression, poor memory, numbness and tingling in the extremities, cold hands and feet, irritable bowel syndrome, lowered immune functions, right? So when you look at all those, like maybe some of you are like, wait, well, I have some of these symptoms already and I don't have that debilitating fatigue, or I don't have those multiple pain points. So typically almost all conditions are a process. So if you get brand new tires on your car and you start driving them, well, they're going to wear over time. Now, typically it's not the last 100 miles where the tire blows, right? It's not the result of what the driving you did the last 100 miles, literally the whole time. And so when you're having other symptoms, I want you to ask the question, what is my body trying to tell me? What are the systems that are struggling right now? And are there things that I can do to enhance that? Because unlike tires and unlike cars, like we don't get a chance to get another set of tires, right? So we have to learn to understand what the body's saying and control that oxidative stress, control the mitochondrial dysfunction, and then work on what's called the communication or cell signaling in your cells. Because if we don't, then literally it can lead down to, most of the time, to so if we have dysfunction in a cell, it becomes dysfunction in an organ, and then dysfunction in a human, right? And so it typically goes dysfunction and then disease. That's normally the process. And so you have to look at what is the functioning that's not happening, right? Here's another thing, just looking at a recent study where they're talking about the effects of COVID-19 and infections in general, and what role this had, because they talk about that cytokine storm, if you've kind of heard about that happening early in COVID. Well, what that does, it was right here, excessive inflammatory response can cause mitochondrial dysfunction due to the progressive and persistent stress. So it can be an infection that triggered it. So maybe you're hearing some of this, long haulers type thing. Well, we've seen this for a long time in other things like Epstein-Barr viruses, right? Or mono, where somebody gets an infection, it's like it never like that. They never really get better. You have to, because it actually affects this mitochondrial function. And so we have to go back to how do we get the mitochondria to function optimally? So one of the things that you're looking at, and this, I definitely have a bias to this because I grew up in the world of like, don't eat sugar, right? Drink water, get plenty of sleep. That was where I grew up. Like literally my brother, who's a surgeon now, he didn't, and he got a question wrong in his kindergarten test of what a sugar bowl was and what a lollipop was, because he didn't know what it was. My dad really never let us to have those things growing up because he wanted us to be as healthy as we possibly could. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is you're seeing this out there in the world now. I remember watching during early on is the amount of people weren't going to see their physicians. So they're looking for other solutions to try to stay healthy. And you probably go back to what grandma and mom taught you, take your antioxidants, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, your zinc, right? So people are buying supplements, wondering to try to do something, right? So I'm going to kind of see what some of the studies are showing in response to this, and maybe things to look for, because not all supplements are created equal. And you want to make sure you're doing the things. A lot of times people may be taking the right name of supplements, but maybe not the right ones for them specifically. And they talk about in here things like L-carnitine, alpha lipoic acid, CoQ10, NAD, are specific things that they're talking about that helps the mitochondrial function. So for the mitochondria to work right, and I'm going to show you something here in just a second, but I want you to go back to this. This is something Hippocrates said years and years and years ago. He says that the natural healing force with each of us is the greatest force of getting well. So I'm going to read that one more time. The natural healing force within each of us is the greatest force in getting well. Our food should be our medicine. Our medicine should be our food. So think about that for a second and think about what you put into your body over the last 24, 40 hours, and how much of that was good medicine and how much of that was probably depleting you more. All right. So there's a process we now know and understand of what's called nutrigenomics, is the understanding that food literally affects the way our genes express. It either expresses things towards health or things towards dysfunction. So what you're doing right now, how you sleep, how you exercise, how you eat, the vitamins and minerals that you take, is turning your gene switches on to be healthy or unhealthy. Okay. Now, the old adage when it came to supplementation was this: we'd look at a pathway like this. This is the pathway that your body uses to make energy. And we need all sorts of things to make that happen. We need vitamins, we need minerals, we need to breathe, we need proteins, right? We need essential fatty acids. And that goes into the assembly line for your body to make energy. Okay. And this is in all your mitochondria, which is your inner producers. Well, just to have a little fun, this is all the chemical pathways in your body, right? So obviously that's a ton of them. And the cool thing is you don't have to think about them working. Now, if you think what Hippocrates said, you don't have to think about them working. Like when they work, we don't think about them. So we need to start thinking about what we can do to help them work right. All right. So here it goes back to that idea of nutrigenomics. So you have a little bit of understanding what that is. Literally, the processes, the things that we eat affect our DNA that encode for either a healthy or an unhealthy body. All right. And when that happens, so the result of how you feel today is of how well your genes are working based upon what you're doing for them or to them, what you're giving to them or not giving to them. All right. So here's a couple of things that I thought were kind of interesting. I read through this. So we're talking about, obviously, we talked about fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. They've looked at a lot of things here, looking at heavy metals such as mercury and cadmium. So there are environmental chemicals that are in your environment that literally are affecting how well your body functions. And that is because you've heard of things like calcium. That's a mineral. Well, a heavy metal is also a metal, right? But it's one that does not have health benefits. And literally, a lot of times, these heavy metals will take the place of a good mineral. So you have to get enough of the good mineral to kick that one out and find ways to support your body's ability to eliminate the other ones. All right. Here's another one that was kind of fun. Talking about here, the risk factors that have been studied looking at this: genetic influences, stress, poor sleep. Okay. So obviously, if that's somebody like you got to work on those things. Okay. The way that I was raised was a little different than most. And I thought everybody was raised this way. I was raised to think that everything you do affects every other system. Okay. And so when my dad and I developed this system called the 6 Steps to Wellness, we looked at the physical, okay, the structure, the emotions, the nutrition, the allergies and sensitivity people have, the toxins, electromagnetic pollution, because that affected the whole body health. And we talked about putting a piece of the health together. I'm not going to go through this, but what I want to do is give you some key things that you can do to affect your energy levels and your body's ability to repair. Because bottom line, that's where a lot of the fatigue is coming from, and a lot of the things like fibromyalgia is coming from. And if we kind of highlight here, looking at specific nutrition, we talk about this part here, which is this: we reset the adrenals and the stress cycle. We give the right nutrition to replenish the organs, glands, and systems for the weaknesses, reduce infection organisms, replace enzymes or hydrochloric acid, and restore the natural bowel flora. So to keep it super simple, going back to what Hippocrates said, you've got to have a healthy gut, because if you don't have a healthy gut, then it's really hard to feed the rest of your body, right? So the things that we typically do in our diets that damage that are our sugars, all right, and certain medications and foods that have antibiotics in them that will damage that gut lining. So if you can't absorb your nutrition, what you're eating, it's really tough to then break it down to where your mitochondria and all the other organelles need to have to be able to function good. So foundationally for us, we're going to focus on healing the gut. So what is that? That could be prebiotics and postbiotics, right? You need those things in you, because those things are going to be there to help. Think of it as a garden, making sure the garden has what it needs to grow things, right? So you don't want weeds, right? So you have the right type of soil. That's the prebiotics, okay? And then you have the probiotics, which is the good bacteria, and then the postbiotics, which is what they make. All of that is critical for our immune system. All of that is critical for really every other system, because if you can't absorb your nutrients, that's a problem, right? Not all probiotics are created equal, right? So they really don't do any good until they get through the whole intestinal tract. So finding the right ones that are designed the right way to get everywhere is what you want to look for. So if you have questions on that, you find it something you trust. Like hopefully you go to a dentist you trust. Hopefully you go to a physician you trust. Like if you don't have a physician that can be part of your partnership, you need to find somebody that can help guide you through that process. At least you can ask questions to, because as we all know, we can ask Dr. Google, right? And we can get a lot of information out there that may or may not be true. So you need to find your tribe of people that you can get that guideline to. You're welcome to ask me questions, others that we can point you to. but you want to make sure you're using the right products. Okay, so if someone happened to give you this video, ask them what they do, right? Maybe they've had some good solutions. If not, let's do some searching, help you find some good probiotics, good prebiotics and postbiotics. That's the foundation. Okay, then we talked about several systems. Three, I'm going to talk about specific. One is reducing oxidative stress. All right, so oxidative stress is that process of rusting on the inside. All right, so your body has inborn mechanisms to help that happen, right? So you guys might have heard of things like antioxidants, like vitamin C, selenium, zinc. So that's your fruits, vegetables, and berries, right? So get those things into your diet, absolutely. And from a vitamin mineral perspective, look for things that are not only what they call precursors or ingredients, but the things that would literally turn on the switches inside your cells to activate those pathways. It's really nice that my kids bring the groceries in, right? And they set them on the counter, but like until somebody activates those, put those ingredients together in the right way, in the right ratios, and bakes it for the right period of time, it's not going to turn into what you want it to. Your body needs that. So literally there's nutrition now made, vitamins and minerals and products designed to activate specific assembly lines in your cells. So you're hearing right now a lot about NAD, you're hearing a lot about glutathione, right? These are big molecules that your body needs to have to clean up, specifically glutathione. So you need things, right, to help your body make that, but you also want to turn on the switches to that. So for instance, exercise, and getting adequate sleep actually turned on these switches of repair, right? So you think, well, no, I'm just resting. No, it's literally that act of sleeping and exercising healthily is turning on these switches and causing your body to repair. So it's not just the amount of time you're sleeping, it's how well you're sleeping, right? So it's critical you get those nutrients. It's critical you give your body what it needs rest-wise, okay? So you may have heard things like, NAC, N-acetylcysteine. That's a precursor or an ingredient for glutathione. So yes, you need that in your diet, okay? But you want to also understand that if you aren't doing things to activate that and combine the other nutrients go with it, you're not going to get the effectiveness of it that you could, right? So you may have heard broccoli seed extract or black pepper extract or ashwagandha or milk thistle. All of these are known as NRF2 activators. These NRF2 activators literally turn on the cell switches. So you'll see companies out there now making products that are designed to activate specific pathways to reduce oxidative stress. They're not all created equal, right? So for me and my patients and my family, there's very specific ones that we use based upon the studies. So you can look up nurture activation on PubMed, and you can literally find those sources. For me, there's specific ones that I use because they reduce that oxidative stress response by an average 40% in 30 days. Super important to maximize that. So then there's the mitochondria. As you saw back in the slide a few minutes ago, how many different pathways are involved with that, right? Super important that you have those ingredients there, but also understanding that there's a nutrigenomic switches, there's also an NRF1 pathway that controls the mitochondrial function too. Super critically work there. And then we talked about you guys probably heard lately, especially with COVID going on, NAD. They're literally getting people are getting IVs of NAD to try to help their body's immune system. All right. So again, same story. You can take the precursors, right? Nicotinamide to help give the body more of what it needs to manufacture, or you can do things like intermittent fast, which helps to raise NAD levels, which really raises sirtuin levels, or look for products that specifically do the same thing. Okay. So I want to go back here just a second to this slide right here. And this is really the reality. No one system is independent in any other system. No system is independent of any other system. They all work together. All right. And the body is an amazing, complex, yet simple system. It wants to work together. It wants to be well. We need to support it in doing that. All right. So when you're looking at foundational things to do, get adequate sleep, make sure you're taking care of your body physically. Like if you don't see a chiropractor, right, find somebody that can help you do massage or do yoga. If you aren't doing things to rebalance your electromagnetics, you need to understand what that is. Try to reduce those things. You're hearing now about people turning your Wi-Fi off at night to reduce that load. Okay. Take the right vitamins and minerals, eat the right foods, identify foods that you may be sensitive to, right? Or foods you might be allergic to. Evaluate your stress habits and your stress management techniques and find some to work with, and then you want to find ways to reduce the amount of heavy metals you get in your body. You're not going to eliminate them 100% if you live on this planet. You've got to find ways to support that. So going back to what I mentioned before, those top things: reducing oxidative stress, improving your mitochondrial function, finding ways to increase your cellular communications. Those things foundationally, and healing the gut is going to put your body in a totally different place. If you haven't done those things and you're struggling with your health, start there. And then you want to start then working on other things. There's other things that are critically important to do. Essential fatty acids, super critical for every cell in your body to have those. And it ties heavily into the mitochondrial system. And you have to have that to protect your mitochondria. Again, I want to give you some basic things to start with. So let me know if you have any questions. Pass this information on to friends and family you think it might be beneficial to. Ask the person that maybe shared this with you, like, what are they doing? Let's create a world that's much more healthy. The reality is, guys, the research we're getting that I'm showing you right now, you'll see many of these studies that were done like in 2010, 2013, 2017, 2021. This is stuff, unless your physician is looking at these, you won't hear about for another 10 to 15 years. And we need this information now. So please share this with those that are looking, and let's help the world get a lot healthier. Have a great day.